Tiffany Mester calls hotels the epicenter of the sex trafficking industry.
You can sit in a hotel room, post ads, Johns come to your door, and it's just the hotel service, the front door of the business.
When Mester's boyfriend turned pimp sold her at 14 to men, she spent every night for 3 months in one hotel in San Diego.
The first few weeks of my trafficking experience was really suffocating, and I was desperate for someone in the community to notice that I was with older men, to notice that it was out of place, to notice that I looked alone and afraid. And one of those key people that could have noticed that are the people that were working at the little dumpy hotel we were staying at, just to see that something wasn't right. So my soul screamed it out.
Law enforcement is noticing what hotels are and are not doing in the face of obvious human trafficking. Authorities are pushing training for hotel workers so they can learn the signs of trafficking and know who to call if they see it.
We see the really good owners who really don't want this there, and they understand that this isn't a crime of choice but is a crime of exploitation. And then you have the other extreme, which are really criminally and legally responsible.
San Diego County Chief Deputy District Attorney Summer Stephens says those are the cases where hotels not only know girls are being sold on their property, they are complicit. One hotel in Oceanside charged higher rates for the illicit activity and even set aside certain rooms away from normal customers. The 27-year-old Mester, who now speaks publicly about trafficking, recalls other blatant markers that hotels knew the score when she was trafficked 11 years ago.
It's so seedy, it's so gross. There are places that rent to you for an hour. And those places have to know what's going on. Without a shadow of a doubt, they have to know why someone's renting a hotel room for an hour with this young girl and different men all the time. They know it.
But prosecutor Stephens says the harder cases are when it's clear that hotels know what is going on because of repeated trafficking activity, but there is no direct evidence. Part of her appeal to these hotels, Stephens says, is to talk about the violence that can accompany trafficking. She tells of a case of a man who showed up at a hotel room and greeted a trafficking victim with a wrench.
And he took the wrench to her face. He knocked out her teeth, disfigured her. So of course that shut down the hotel. That brought about police. It disturbed all of the business for that hotel.
Stephens says the sex trafficking industry won't diminish without the help of the hundreds of high-end and low-end hotels and motels in the region.
You absolutely need the insiders, the hotel motel staff, the housekeeping, the clerical, the security, to be the eyes and ears.
Vipul Dayal saw and heard a lot as a boy in his father's motel.
I grew up in a hotel, in a motel, 24-unit motel in Dallas, Texas. And that motel was probably 90% of our business was prostitution.
Dayal says at the time he didn't question what he saw.
At 12 years old, I was cleaning up needles, hypodermic needles, in my parking lot. You know, when Dad used to say, hey, go clean out the parking lot, as I was cleaning, I could see needles. You know, this is in the 80s, early 80s, so not knowing anything about AIDS or nothing like that, just getting a needle, throwing it in the trash, you know. Cleaning up bloody sheets, cleaning up trash can full of condoms, dirty rags. As a 12-year-old, as a 13-year-old, I just thought that was, you know, that was the way it was. I just accepted everything, you know, for what it was. It was business.
But he says his Indian immigrant father did eventually question himself and didn't like the answers.
I think as soon as he realized within a couple of years that this was not the way he wanted to do business, we sold that hotel and we had nothing to do with it, and we never ever dealt with that kind of business again ever in our...
But they all never forgot about what he saw as a child. He says the girls whom he once thought of as prostitutes were actually victims with no choice and no way out. He says today he uses his platform as director at large for the Asian American Hotel Owners Association to convince hotels to train their staff on how to spot and and report trafficking. He says it's an easy sell.
And as hotel owners, especially from the Indian descent, we don't want bad karma. We don't want money that's like, we got illegally.
But Tiffany Mesters says for the average hotel worker making minimum wage, the choice to report trafficking may not be so easy, but she is hopeful.
And maybe they'll make a phone call, or maybe they'll just try to be a little extra nice and show that girl that she's special and valuable.
Amita Sharma, KPBS News.